Chapter 3, Mr. Spoil's Junkyard. Down the hill from Victor's mansion stood a home of a different kind. Where Victor's mansion was solid, like a giant rock, this house looked like it might crash to the ground at any moment. Route 65, the main highway into Foxhaven, ran by its front door, and every time a large truck drove past, the vibrations made the house wobble, like a fat woman laughing. Not that you could see much of the front door from the street. A large wooden fence hid the bottom of the building, or it would have if some of the boards hadn't been missing. But what caught your attention passing by was a large yellow and purple sign that read, Spoil's Junkyard, and underneath that a hand-painted addition, Beware of Kids. The kids in this instance were the 5 Spoil children, Albert, 15, Charles, 14, Mary, 13, Edward, 9, and little William, 7. At this moment, they were out back behind the house that might fall down, in their dad's 2-story tin-covered garage, getting ready to take out their father's latest creation, the traveling car wrecker, known affectionately as Captain Crunch. "Charles, do you read me?" barked out Albert. "You're only 5 feet away. Do you read me? Loud and clear. What color paint do we have? Sunshine yellow. Webcam? On stream?" Charles held up his laptop so Albert could see the view from the webcam. "Excellent!" Their dad, the kids called him Mr. Spoil, has modified a beat-up Volvo road grader by adding extreme monster tires and removing the front blade, replacing it with a huge box capable of sucking up a car and squeezing it into a small cube of mangled metal. Above the cab, he's added a crane with an electromagnet strong enough to pick up an automobile. Why bring your car to the wrecker when the wrecker can come to you? That's the idea, anyway. Mr. Spoil hadn't tried it out yet, and the kids were about to beat him to it. "Mr. Spoil isn't going to be happy." This came from little William, who was high up, crawling along the crane, dragging a banner behind him. "Well, serves him right for going to the game without us." Albert, the oldest, wasn't tall, but he was stocky and strong, and had never backed away from a fight. Because of Albert, no one messed with the Spoil kids. He was wearing his camouflage pants, green army t-shirt, army boots, and a canvas World War II flying helmet, complete with microphone and speakers. It hid his short military haircut. "Well, it's Father's idea," said Mary, extracting her violin from its case. "Well, we're on a mission." Edward seemed pleased with this idea. Albert turned the key. Nothing happened. His dad's machines never started right away, but Albert knew how to fix this. He gave the dashboard a swift kick, and the big diesel engine roared to life with a satisfying belch of black smoke. Albert grinned down at his brother Charles. Charles stood below him on a turret his father had added to hold the big barn painting gun. When their dad wasn't wrecking cars, demolishing houses, he did this by moving the kids in and returning a week later, or inventing something that nobody else wanted, like hot dog ice cream, he advertised that he painted barns. Barn painting helped keep Albert and Charles busy. Otherwise, they'd build catapults and test them by hurling car parts at Foxhaven High School. Charles had enough looks for 2 boys. At the moment, he was dressed all in black, including a black pork pie hat like the one Johnny Depp wore in Benny and June. The hat looked stupid sitting on top of the flying helmet, but Charles didn't care. Around his neck, he wore a gold chain that ended in a gold doubloon. He'd won the necklace in a Captain Jack Sparrow look-alike contest. Charles was as smart as Albert was tough. On the other side of Albert, his sister Mary was busy tuning her violin. It was a good thing it was an electric violin, and even better that Captain Crunch had 3 giant speakers, or there wouldn't have been much point in tuning anything. At the moment, the diesel engine was making more noise than a motorcycle gang. Mary had a striking face, all her features bigger than they should have been, like she hadn't grown into them yet, but somehow it worked. Her long reddish-orange hair hung halfway down her back. She wore a red plaid kilt with black tights, a black turtleneck, and black leather boots. She looked silly in the flying helmet, too. In front of Albert was 9-year-old Edward sitting in a swivel chair with 3 control sticks in front of him. He was almost sure he had figured them out. So he looked back and gave Albert a thumbs up. Edward was the dreamer of the Spoil kids. He could sit for hours drawing, reading, lost in some world of his own imagining. Lastly, little William, the baby of the family, was riding 6 feet above Albert in the crow's nest that Mr. Spoil had welded to the end of the crane that stuck out of the front of Captain Crunch like a knight's lance. On both sides of the crane, little William had hung large hand-painted banners that said, "Vote Carstairs for sheriff, or else." Little William pulled a large silver microphone to his mouth and pushed the button. "Are we human or are we dancer?" Little William's voice was loud enough to send the pigeons in the garage fleeing next door, where they pooped on Mrs. Finney's brand new patio furniture. The Spoil kids all talked with an English accent because they'd only been in America, home of the brave, for 3 years. Little William adjusted his flying helmet, which was miles too big. Albert's voice filled the airways. Charles, ready? Mary, ready? Edward, ready? William, are you sure this is a good idea? Little William could already hear a police siren, and it wasn't far away. William, Albert boomed back. Ready? Albert put Captain Crunch in gear. Charles ran the titles. Another Spoil Kids adventure was about to begin.